Good day. Welcome to Westchester Talk Radio, westchestertalkradio.com. I'm John Marino. We are produced by Sharc Creative, made possible by Robeson Oil, the house that service built. By Lipolis Electric. Don't be left in the dark. Get Lipolis. By Hightower Westchester, managing your wealth to a fiduciary standard. By White Plains Hospital. By Michael Labriola, landscape design and construction of Armonk, and by Tompkins Mahopac Bank. On the Beat in Westchester is where we are here and now with you, and it is post-election day, post-election script. We are joined by John Bailey. John Bailey, publisher, editor, White Plains CitizenNet Reporter, WPCNR.com, and also host of a couple of TV shows, White Plains Weekend People, to be heard, seen and viewed all across your cable systems around Westchester County. John Bailey, welcome back. Your election takeaways. We begin with the Westchester County Executives race. Even though Christine Schulte lost, I have to say that I'm shocked she got 40% of the vote. I thought she might get 40 votes.
Yeah, Stephen Rolandi, the Pace and John Jay College of Justice adjunct professor, thought it would be 70-30.
I thought it would be 80-20, if that, yeah, maybe 82-18.
Something like that. There was no reason to for 50, what was it, 40,000 voted for her? Yeah, something like that. 40,000 people to vote for Schulte. She didn't campaign. Literally did not campaign until the last week. I got one nasty flyer from her, which apparently really resonated on criticizing Latimer for not doing anything about the immigrants that are being shipped in by Joe Biden.
Into Westchester County Airport in the dead of night. This has been going on since August.
But that was a really nasty.
First around the tri-state area to different locales in state of New York and New Jersey and Connecticut, Long Island, and Newburgh, Danbury, Bridgeport, Central New Jersey, and Middlesex County, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That did become, I guess, an issue in this race now. Apparently, the county executive obviously was aware of these flights landing there, and I got the impression that he didn't think it was a big deal, and we do have to help immigrant children out, but some people look at it a different way, I guess. I guess the way a lot of people look at it is that we want to help too, but we should know about this. What's the point of doing this in the dead of night? Who's hiding?
Yeah, I mean, that could have been done with a really nice, touchy-feely press conference before it started. And I think I was so stupid of the Biden administration. They're doing a lot of stupid things. They really
Do you think this is all what Schulte accomplished on election day, even though she did not win? Do you think a lot of this is just Democratic Party backlash up and down the East Coast? We see the governor's race in New Jersey, which I think Phil Murphy will pull out. They still have to count the votes from Essex and Union counties, also parts of Passaic County, very heavily Democratic, like Newark, Passaic, and Patterson too, and what happened down in Virginia also as well. With
Virginia, that's the capital of the Confederacy.
Yeah,
it has always been a Confederate state.
With a bit of a whipping upon McAuliffe in what for the past 20 years has been a very Democratic state. So this looks like Long Island, what happened in Nassau and in Suffolk. Suffolk DA's race, the Democrat Tim Sini getting bounced out. Bruce Blakeman, who runs for everything in the state of New York, up and down the board, basically, and locally on Long Island, too, as a Republican, as a conservative, put a scare into Nassau County Executive Laura Curran also, too. Blakeman hardly ever comes close. This time he's coming close. So that tells me this is just an anti-democratic backlash around this whole tri-state region. The race for mayor in Stamford, former Mets and Red Sox manager Bobby Valentine taking on Caroline Simmons. I mean, that's an interesting race too. And I guess Simmons will likely pull this out, but Bobby V put a scare into her too, put a scare into the Democratic Party establishment in very Democratic Stamford, Connecticut.
Well, perhaps, look, I salute the voters of Stamford, at least apparently coming down on the side of a person who has the experience. Mr. Valentine, based on his Mets experience, is not a very good manager.
He got him to the World Series one year, but then they collapsed after that.
You're right. But,
playoffs 2 years in a row, only time in
But baseball is not governing.
No, it's not. It's not managing the same thing. Like, for example, you take
it's handling the press.
Take the New York City mayor's race. I love what Curtis Sleva has done around the city with the Guardian Angels for more than 40 years, puts himself and his life on the line, yet he hasn't managed anything. Eric Adams has run the borough of Brooklyn as Brooklyn Borough President and was state senator before that. He has managerial experience that Curtis Sleva does not.
Well, Curtis Sleva came out of nowhere. I had not heard of him for years. And all of a sudden he comes out and he is the only person who can challenge.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Fernando Mattea. Fernando Mattea was the Republican challenger to Sleva, and Sleva put him away in the primaries. Yeah.
Well, again, was Sleva your best shot?
He may have been the only shot for the Republican
of course,
Party.
It's automatic. They will elect any Democrat mayor. I believe the only Republican they elected was Lindsay in the last 3
and he became a Democrat eventually.
Yes, he did.
Won for president at that time.
And then he did one thing wrong. He aggravated Mike Quill, and that destroyed his political career.
I remember that as a kid back in the late 60s.
Called him a pipsqueak.
Yeah, that he did. Yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
And
John Lindsay's son,
the subway strike, the garbage strike. I mean, he had no shot. Now, what has happened here in New York? We've got people mad at the Democrats. Why are they mad? Are they mad that they staged a bloodless coup on Cuomo? Were they mad at that? They have to find out why the tremendous swing.
Mm-hmm.
It's particularly on these propositions. As
talk about those propositions. You had 5.
The propositions are
very vaguely worded. The first 2. The other 3 were pretty specific, although one of them was about having the right to clean water and clean air. I thought that was our God-given right, that we don't need this to be legislated or mandated on election day in a state proposition.
Yeah, I mean, how dumb is that of the legislature?
It's good to know we're going to have it now, I guess, right?
And unless they try and put what in it, saying that immigrants that are illegal can't breathe. And
right on election day, locally too, with Richard Dionisio, Republican, which we expected in Harrison, defeating Democrat Frank Gordon 62-38 to take over for the outgoing mayor's supervisor on Belmont. Dionisio, the deputy to Belmont. Up in Bedford, the race for supervisor there, the Democrat Ellen Calves, 56% of the vote, defeating the challenger Republican Don Scott. And I think that's being billed as a good turnout and showing for Scott. The Calves, the Democrat, got only 56% of the vote. And, you look at that, you look at what happened with Latimer, what's going on with New Jersey. We may not know for a while who wins that race between Phil.
New Jersey is a very strange state.
Yeah, very strange. I'm shocked at that, the way that's gone so far.
Well,
you might even say that even if Murphy wins, it's kind of like a loss in a way because he gets no mandate. And some say he's ready to issue a vaccine mandate upon re-election in New Jersey. And that may be what's doing Phil in up to this point.
Well, I tell you, you have to be out of your mind not to get vaccinated.
Regardless of that, there are those who are so very against it for whatever their reasons might be. I know a number of people in New Jersey. I know some who are against it for whatever their reasons.
Yeah, but they can carry the disease. They can carry the disease as I can, as you can. We're both vaccinated. We can harbor the germs of COVID in our nose and our mouth. And when we breathe out, i.e. not wearing a mask, we can give them to somebody who perhaps isn't vaccinated.
I know somebody I know
has not been emphasized.
I know people in Jersey who have had COVID and have been told by their doctors, you have enough antibodies, you don't need a vaccine right now. I know people in Jersey who have had COVID and have a vaccine because they think that's the right way to go, regardless of what even maybe a medical person might tell them. A medical person might say, you have enough antibodies in you right now.
I say that if there's a vaccine to stop something is going to kill me, and you live a lonely death in a tent praying for God to save me.
I would agree with you on that. You know, you go get.
You don't want to be in that situation.
You look at the numbers.
Crazy.
5 million dead worldwide now. Now, I'm not a mathematician. I'm not a numbers guy. I'm not a statistics guy. I think 2 + 2 = 4. The last I could tell, that's my ability at math, I think. But that's about it. But 5 million dead gets your attention. So if I were a gambler and I had to talk to a gambler about getting the vaccine, if I knew a gambler who was reticent about getting a vaccine, I would say, you're a stats guy, you're a numbers guy, 5 million dead. Your chances of getting COVID and maybe being dead from it are much better than having something happen to you if you got the vaccine.
Absolutely. And what the terrible thing is that with the amount of this push to reopen the economy is very dangerous, because New York State is now like wide open. Okay, the tourists are going to start coming in for these stupid Broadway shows, and they are danger to us. They're really a danger, because they come in here, and then you got this court from hell, the Supreme Court, ready to rule on it's okay to bring your guns to town bill. You know, I mean, that's unbelievable. Can you imagine walking to a bar knowing that 9 or 10 people may have a concealed gun on you? What? I mean, that went out with Western movies. And now we're bringing it back. This court could bring it back. I mean, there's a lot of really dangerous stuff, and that to this reopening the economy. I mean, I'm very upset about it. I have to go into New York to a show on Saturday, and it's not good.
We'll see what the numbers are after the holidays, since we are entering the holiday season.
Well, they weren't good last week in Westchester County. We had 625 new cases in a week, in 8 days. 625.
And that's not good. I see
numbers going up, and that is up 40%. 40% from the week before. I just want to say that I monitor these more precisely than the county does. The county briefs on COVID are ridiculous because they don't give you good comparative numbers.
Are we going to get a county-wide vaccine mandate?
He's not going to do that. I don't think he's going to do that. He is, I mean, he is easygoing. New Rochelle has been one of the leaders in COVID infections for the last 6 to 7 months.
Since day one,
easily, that's where my memory goes back. Yonkers has been way ahead in new infections. Mount Vernon way ahead in new infections across the county.
So maybe we tell people you got to go get it with these numbers like this. Maybe we tell people go get a vaccine now. Finally, we do it after 2 years. Vaccine around the year.
Don't do it. You have to have shot mobiles go in there, and you just have to do it. Because Yonkers, New Rochelle, Mount Vernon, Rye, and Rye Brook also very big on infections, not as much as those other 3. But I mean, I used to do a top 10 of the top 10 infecting areas. And so I backed off that because, but it is very important to people to realize that certain spots you are at risk. So you should wear a mask.
Right. I wear a mask every place I go. Some people.
Well, you're smart. We are still on the air and still reporting because we haven't gotten COVID.
And we have people we know in this business, old friends of ours, too, who are not around anymore. One of them nationally known, who used to be in Westchester. He was on Long Island when I was in the 80s and in Westchester in the 90s when I was at WFAS in White Plains. He was at WVIP in Mount Kisco in the 80s. I was at WSBH in Southampton. He was at WGBB in Freeport. I speak of Dick Farrell, whose real name, known on the air as Dick Farrell. His real name Farrell Levitt. And he had a national radio program, was doing some work on national TV and passed away a few months ago, refused to get the vaccine. Farrell, while he was passing away and knew he had no chance to survive when he was near the end, said, I made a mistake, go get a vaccine. I made a mistake, go get a vaccine. Too late.
That's very sad.
Yeah, that's very sad.
You don't want to be saying that.
No, we were saddened to hear about the passing of Farrell Levitt, Dick Farrell, whose career I tracked very well. He was a contemporary of mine since day one, basically, and he's not with us anymore, unfortunately, as are others in our industry who have been anti-vaccine and are not with us anymore as well through this. Not to say it can't happen to anyone, but your chances improve if and when you get that vaccine. John Bailey is the publisher and editor of White Plains CitizenNet Reporter, WPCNR.com, host of White Plains Week, and people to be heard all over your cable systems, practically every cable system around Westchester, a highly viewed and watched show. John Bailey. Next year, we have the race for governor. And I wonder, with so many Democrats coming out of the woodwork, I wonder why. Because the state party chairman, Jay Jacobs from Nassau County on Long Island, has already endorsed Kathy Hochul, the new governor who's been in office 2 months after taking over from Andrew Cuomo, who seemingly has some more legal woes now. Looks like the prosecution or potential prosecution of Andrew will go forward in Albany through the DA, David Suarez, up that way for allegedly inappropriately touching a woman. We'll see what happens with that and how that all works out in the end. I think a lot more.
Yeah, we are waiting.
Records. He wants the records. His legal people want all correspondences from the Albany DA to find out what exactly is in there. And I believe from the state attorney general, Tish James, too, who initiated everything, the snowball that took Andrew Cuomo down. So Kathy Hochul is running for governor, running for election. I hate to say re-election because she was not elected the first time, but to be elected back into office. And Tish James has declared, the state AG, Jumaane Williams, re-elected public advocate in New York City on Election Day. He is in the race, in the mix as well. We hear Tom Suozzi, Nassau County congressman, will jump in eventually, we think. Also, maybe
Suozzi is the most likely, I think.
Tom DiNapoli, state controller, who never really got.
Oh, forget it. A controller.
Jump into other names. Suffolk County Executive Steve Bellone now this week added more than 700 cops because Steve Bellone believes in adding police, not subtracting police. It's just the list grows and grows. Any reason why the two of us have not thrown our hats into the ring yet? As the beat goes on, basically, we need Sonny and Cher here.
No, it isn't funny because the future of New York State will really depend on who is the next governor.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to realize, what is Steve?
Oh, we forgot Bill de Blasio.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Well, de Blasio will not win the New York City vote in the primary.
No, he would never be governor.
So he's through.
He would be elected governor either, but you can't tell him that. He seemingly is getting his act in order, if you could put it that way, in order to be able to run.
Yeah. Well, the way I see it, Suozzi is your best candidate in the primary. Letitia James, I don't know. I don't know what she's done.
Yeah, up in, you put polls out there and people respond, and she does not do well against Kathy Hochul, except in the African-American and Black communities. She does well against Kathy Hochul and Lee's.
Well, that's the big thing. Can the Democrats risk running a Black person for governor? Can they risk that?
I think they can. I do. I think they can. I think it's
that's the big decision they have to make.
Or the backlash against Democrats as opposed to someone's ethnic background or race right now. I think that's what's going on, that if you tag yourself Democrat, you might be in a hole. If you say you're a Republican, regardless of who you are, well, somebody just might vote for you. So the Republican race for governor now, we still have the familiar names: Long Island, Suffolk Congressman Lee Zeldin, also former Westchester County Executive Rob Astorino, and Andrew Giuliani, who is polling the best from name recognition, according to the latest Siena College
Rudy. They think he's Rudy. That's what they think.
They know him because of Rudy, whereas according to Steve Greenberg, who runs the Siena College poll, our good friend Steve, who we have on this show here from time to time, we had him on recently in his recent numbers about the Republican race, that not many New Yorkers yet know who Lee Zeldin or even Rob Astorino, who they are, even though Rob ran for governor in 2014 and was the opponent to Andrew Cuomo at that time. Yet practically everybody knows Andrew Giuliani because of his father, Rudy Giuliani. And Steve said that if that race, if the vote were held this year instead of next year, he thinks just because of name recognition, Andrew Giuliani would win. He does not think that name recognition would be much of a problem for Zeldin and Astorino 1 year from now, because
Andrew Giuliani, if he got the Republican nomination for governor, I think he would be the easiest to defeat.
He also might say, you know what, I pass. I really want to run for mayor of New York City next time, which is what a lot of people think that he's setting himself up to run for mayor next time around. He's gotten some good TV gigs, I've seen, being Andrew Giuliani and running, got to be on the gut.
Well, how does he go on TV? Have you interviewed him?
I have not interviewed him. I've seen him interviewed on Fox. I've seen him be a guest panelist on the Gutfeld show on Fox also, too. And this happening right after he announced his candidacy. So, he is, because he's Andrew, I don't see Lee Zeldin or Rob Astorino getting to do this, but because he is the son of Rudy Giuliani, that door on Fox opened right to him. And there he was days later being interviewed about his candidacy, and weeks later being on the Greg Gutfeld show, 11 o'clock at night, and being one of Gutfeld's guest panelists that night, too. So that name recognition helps. There is no doubt about that.
Well, yeah, it's like, who was that teacher who ran?
Teach Out.
That's right. Well, that was a good example of the media falling in love with somebody and giving her much more credence than she ever had.
A North Carolina native taught at my alma mater, Fordham University. We could say the teacher, Zephyr Teach Out, was teaching out and did put a bit of a scare into Andy Cuomo, and that's why he shored up his left flank so much ever since Teach Out put that scare into him back in 2014. I did get to talk to her probably a handful of times during that campaign when I was hosting mornings at WVOX in New Rochelle at that time. And she had a pretty interesting platform, obviously. What she did worked from the standpoint of forcing Andrew Cuomo to move further and farther left. And by the time Andy Cuomo left office, you probably, from a policy standpoint, did not recognize him in many ways. But the effect of a Zephyr teaching out, and her left-wing policies across New York State, getting them out there, I think the effect of that we are seeing today. Andrea, what's her name? The state senator, Biaggi, Alexandra Biaggi. She may run for governor. We've heard that too. Alexandra Biaggi, Bronx, and a little piece of Westchester she has. Also, Yonkers Mayor Mike Spano might throw his hat into the Democratic Party.
Mike Spano has a better shot.
Without a doubt. With
because
Swansea,
he will take a lot of Westchester. He'll take a lot of Westchester.
Get Republican votes too, being a one-time Republican. Here's the question that we throw into the pot, into the mix. Will County Executive George Latimer run for governor?
Yeah, I think he will.
You think he will?
Yeah.
What kind of a chance do you think?
He's a very soft, he's just a soft-edged, what Marshall McLuhan would describe as a cool personality, a cool image, which calms people, and he says all the right things, and he's very empathetic, and he can point to lots of legislation and lots of pro moves, and this might register. Although, can he be tough? He will be destroyed on this immigration issue.
Is he not far left enough?
Well,
he's not far left.
No, he's right down the middle, and that's really what you need
A
as a
bit
governor.
left of center, I describe
Yeah.
him as.
Yeah.
Which we'll find out, I guess, since he's reelected now and he has that room to run for governor if he wants to. Other key races around the area: Ed Day reelected to another term as Rockland County executive. Also in Putnam County, race for a sheriff here. More anti-democratic backlash. The incumbent Robert Langley, a Democrat, defeated by Republican challenger Kevin McConville. Yonkers City Council expected to roll to easy victory. Also there too, the Democrat in that race in Yonkers, Lakeisha Collins Bellamy, over the Republican Ron Matten. And also too, up in Peekskill in the race for mayor to succeed the outgoing, stepping down Andre Rainey in Peekskill. Well, declaring victory there, Vivian McKenzie becomes the first female African-American, first female Black mayor of the city of Peekskill. So that's a pretty good recap of what went on, the major races around Westchester and the Hudson Valley, Long Island, and around the tri-state area in New Jersey and Connecticut as well. John Bailey, we thank you for joining us here on the Beat in Westchester. Always a pleasure to join you on White Plains Week when I get the opportunity to do that. John, also the host of... John's a busy guy, also hosting People to Be Heard on your cable systems all around Westchester, emanating from the White Plains cable system base. And then it gets sent out to all the commercial cable networks from there. John, who are some of the upcoming guests you might have on the show?
Without permission, I might add.
Without permission?
Yeah, that's right.
Nobody
They should contact me.
John's just going to call, say you're in. Yeah, right. That's it.
No, but
I have that
reputation. Very nice. Right.
I have that reputation too. Apparently, I kind of heard this back then. And Fred Dicker was hosting the show up in Albany, former New York Post columnist. When I was at VOX in New Rochelle, Randy Credico was running for governor too. You might remember that. The comedian Randy Credico, apparently, he was on with Dicker up in Albany, and he told Fred Dicker that, I get a call from this guy Marino down at VOX all the time. He calls me, doesn't even give me a chance to talk, and he says, "You're on 7:20 tomorrow morning." He hangs up the phone. So, and I kind of have the reputation of doing that. I give you a call, I say, "You're on." There you go. Hang up, and well, you can always call me and say you're not going to be on, but
yes.
It's the media, and people want their exposure. So we know
that's really low class doing that to somebody.
We know people want to be on, right, John?
Yeah.
People want to be heard. That's why you have that show.
They certainly, particularly politicians. And the politicians that don't return your calls are afraid of you.
They're afraid, and they generally don't get elected, as it turns out, right?
Or they keep getting elected perpetually unopposed.
Right. The unopposed, or those who, in their own minds, feel like they have no shot.
I interview on
the ballot. You always have a shot. So Thursday, fight to the end. Yeah, go ahead.
Thursday night, I interview Mike Bowers, who runs a vapor shop in White Plains, and we talk all about the status of marijuana. That's at 8 o'clock on People to Be Heard.
By the way, the White Plains City Council results.
Yes, as we have Richard Payne, newly elected, and Justin Brash and John Martin, incumbents, reelected. The fourth man running for was Alan Grafman, and he did not win, but he did get 1,500 votes. Whereas
we had four people running for 3 spots in White Plains, right?
Yes, exactly.
And also the county board. How about that? The other races around.
The county board, 12 Democratic seats already determined, and at last look, there was 3 in dispute. Very close, and 1 Republican won. So presently, if the Republicans maintain their momentum, they might pick up 3 seats, but I doubt that's going to happen, because when you're behind, it's hard to pull ahead.
Hard to find votes when you're behind, right?
Yes, that's why.
Although I think Phil Murphy.
That's why the voters eliminated the 10-day deal.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think you should.
I would not like
wake up election morning and you're not registered, and you say,
"Hey, I'm not registered. Can I
what
register?"
That guy
what a crazy thing! Talk about stuffing the ballot box. That's something the Republicans would do.
I think we have a right to vote, and it doesn't matter if it's 8:59 p.m. on election night. If I'm not registered and I've never voted, and I decide now I'm going to vote, you better register me up and make sure I get my vote in. That's what America is.
I once participated in an election fraud in college.
You did?
Yes. There was a takeover.
Can we not hear any more about that right here? I know it
was a college Republican club.
Okay.
And the fraternity brother recruited 5 guys or so to overwhelm the vote so he would get elected. And it left a bad taste in my mouth that I would let.
You stuffed the ballot box, right?
That's right. That's what that 10-day rule would have done. You could stuff it at the end.
Okay. True confessions here on Westchester.
Just go right down Mamaroneck Avenue to every bar at about 8:30 and bring them on over. And, oh, yeah, who you want me to vote for?
I'm not going to ask what school that was at, okay, to protect
Ohio Wesleyan.
Okay. Ohio Wesleyan.
Yes.
Very well-known school.
Yes. It was once known as the Harvard of the Middle West.
Do they teach
probably still
the ballot box there at Ohio Wesleyan? Did they back?
Well, this was a campus club, okay?
Right.
It was a campus club. But then that's sort of like the city committees all across every county.
Hey, no different than things we've heard about through the years, right? So
it all starts. It
all starts at home. All politics is local, right?
Exactly. I've always regretted doing that.
John Bailey, thank you for joining us. We'll talk again soon, and hope to be able to join you on your show in White Plains again soon.
Until that time.
Until next time, John Bailey here on Westchester Talk Radio on the Beat in Westchester. I'm John Marino, and we are produced by Sharc Creative, made possible by Robeson Oil, the house that service built, by Lipolis Electric. Don't be left in the dark. Get Lipolis by Hightower Westchester. Managing your wealth to a fiduciary standard by White Plains Hospital, by Michael Labriola Landscape Design and Construction of Armonk, and by Tompkins Mahopac Bank. Catch all of our Westchester, Rockland, Putnam, Dutchess, Orange, and Fairfield County talk radio programming on our YouTube channel, Sharc Creative YouTube, and we have an app now too. Yes, we do. Take it with you anywhere and everywhere you go. Go download it right now if you have not. It is called Westchester Talk.